Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Tony here. Hope everyone's doing great in this late October day, morning, afternoon, whenever you're watching this video from whatever portion of the globe, because thanks to YouTube and the VC community, we're reaching out to everybody: Japan, Africa, Australia, UK, Italy, and hopefully America. Okay, so thanks for stopping by, and we're going to talk about a great illustrator who just recently passed away on October 13th, 2025. So this gives this segment perspective if you're watching it, 10 years from now. Now, the artist is STRUZAN. Now, STRUZAN is known for his poster artwork. Renowned poster artist, just was, a struggling illustrator. Started out doing album covers. So we're going to talk about some of the album covers he did and the company that he worked for. Big company out of, the West Coast, because it's called Eye and Ear. And I believe they were out in the West Coast somewhere. But he worked for Eye and Ear, and he did illustrations for album covers. Now, I would say these are A artists. Some of them are B artists, but they're big artists. And these albums were big albums at the time. So later on in this video, I'm going to show these albums, but first I'm going to show a few of the movie posters that he did. Now, the movie poster next to me I've had for a long time. So Drew actually drew that illustration for Back to the Future. His big break, he said, was when he was contacted by Spielberg and contacted by the people at Star Wars, because he did some of the newer Star Wars films. After the first three run, he did some of the new ones, and he said that changed his life. And just some great artwork. You probably, all these movies. He did hundreds of movies. Ear and I did about 250 album covers, and I'm sure Drew was involved with many of them. But the ones I'm going to show is that he definitely did the illustrations and the design on those. So we're going to show those in a minute. But here's the Star Wars illustration that he did for the new Star Wars movies, the ones that came on after the first trilogy. He did this, The New Thing, the Carpenter, John Carpenter's The Thing, which is a great movie. If you haven't seen that. He also did this one, which everyone has seen, and it's always on TV. I stopped watching it. Shawshank Redemption. Great film if you haven't seen it. Great movie, great soundtrack on that. Of course, this is one of the classics, and he did E.T. And when he did E.T., he asked Spielberg, why don't you just do a photograph? And Spielberg says, we want to get into the hearts and souls of people, and you can't get that from a photograph. You need an illustration that brings out some type of fantasy, and that was the same philosophy that Drew had throughout his whole career. So this is a classic. It's just amazing. He comes up with these great designs. Here's another E.T. With a different cover, but the illustration is from Drew STRUZAN. Here's the DVD for Shawshank. He just depicts people and fantasy art. Just an amazing artist. I think he did a lot of airbrushing when he was working. If you watch some of the documentaries on him, and just to let you know, there's not. I checked the internet. I checked YouTube for quite a while, and there's nothing about his. There's everything about his poster art, because he's renowned for his poster art. But decades before he started doing these big movies, he did album covers. He did jackets for some major stars. Some I have, some I don't have. Just a little teaser. He did. I don't have this. He did covers for Earth, Wind, and Fire back in their early covers. So just an amazing journey. But there's not anything about it on the web, as far as I know. There are on his website. He goes into what album covers he designed, but I'm going to show you the ones I have. Here again, Back to the Future, the great, just like that poster. There's a great illustration there. He also did this, which was very mind-boggling. The first Blade Runner films. That's part of his illustration for the movie posters. So he did all the one sheets, and this is a famous one. Well, they're all famous, but this one, of course, Indiana Jones, Harrison Ford, Indiana Jones again. And these are all his artwork. Now, I wish that the James Bond movies would go back to illustrations. The Bond movies, when the posters were illustrated, are gems. They're huge collector's items. All the early Connery, all the early Roger Moore. I believe up in like around probably Timothy Dalton's era, they started using photographs. There are some illustrations of imports with Timothy Dalton, but you know what I mean. Movie posters today want to tell you to come and see this movie, and I don't think the photographs say to me, or me personally, come and see this movie. But I think this, with the great Sean Connery, come and see this movie. Talking about Sean Connery, he also did the artwork for In the Name of the Rose. Great Sean Connery film if you haven't seen it. So you can see these movies invite you. So Spielberg said to him, I have to live up to the movie posters when I show this film, because the movie posters are just amazing works of art. So I'm going to show some of his albums. So like I said, just to give you an idea of some I don't have, he did the Harry Potter movies. He did a Roy Orbison album cover, which I don't have. He did First Blood, which I didn't show the movie poster. So he's done hundreds and hundreds of stuff. Drew STRUZAN, just an amazing artist, and my condolences to his family. I watched some interviews that he did, and I watched some documentaries, and he was just the nicest, soft-spoken, humble guy you'll ever meet. It's his dynamite was in his hand, in his pen, in his paintbrush, and his mind, because he designed these covers, maybe from stills, maybe from watching the film, but he was able to design these covers for these DVDs, which were first, you know, 1 sheets and 2 sheets and 4 sheet movie posters. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some album covers, and you'll probably be pleasantly surprised. He did this one, Carole King, Fantasy. I'll hold that up for a minute. So because of his work as an illustrator for that company, what was it, Eye and Ear, he was getting paid about $250 a cover, I think, at that time. So again, Carole King. This is a good one you probably don't even know about. Great album. He actually did the Modern Jazz Quartet. This is called In Memoriam. Just going to hold these up a few seconds, and one day I'll be able to have these pop up as I talk about it. This was one I was surprised that he designed, and this is one of my favorite Grand Funk Railroad albums, Phoenix. Just a great cover. So he designed that, and obviously you can see the Phoenix rising from the flames. There's the inside. He's done, well, the company he worked for did almost 300, 250, 300. He designed quite a bit, and I think when I looked up these album covers, some of them didn't actually say that he designed it or illustrated it, but I'm sure he had some fingerprints on these, because some of them look like his work. This is a good one, which I didn't know. Black Oak, Arkansas, right? Black Oak, Arkansas. This is High on the Hog. And there he does a little illustration of the boys. Here's the back. I guess this opens up as a full. And the inside cover is of the hog. So really cool stuff, and a lot of, as you could see, these are major groups. This is a major group. Main Course, the Bee Gees. This has Nights on Broadway, Jive Talking. This got them started with that disco flavor. This is, if you don't have this record, I believe it was recorded at Criterion in Florida, where Eric Clapton did his famous comeback record. Yeah, Criterion Recording, Miami, Florida. So there you have main course. This is a good one. So we did all types of genres. Here you have Black Sabbath. Now this is pretty much fantasy, goth, horror. If you look at that, very intense. I believe he also did an Ozzy record. I'm sure I saw. Here is this. He also did this illustration here. So he was quite busy. I'm sure these originals will are going for a good penny now, especially since Drew is deceased. This is one too. He also did Alice Cooper. Alice Cooper's greatest hits. So you can see there. Just the detail, and he captures the era. I don't know what the background of this was, but the greatest hits and hits, and this has the probably St. Valentine's Day Massacre, which was one of the biggest hits of all time. And you can see the illustrations. There's it's funny. There's Groucho Marx. There's some famous people on this, which I didn't notice before. You got Jimmy. You got Clark Gable, Humphrey Bogart. Just really cool stuff. You can see them there. So just a great illustrator, and like I said, a very, very humble guy. If you check out his documentaries and his interviews, very soft-spoken. Doesn't just, talks about how the directors just loved him. The directors who he said when he was hired to do E.T. and the Star Wars, that basically gave him carte blanche. He was retired prior to his death. I don't know if he was ill or it was natural causes or whatever. But just funny how one thing leads to another. I'm watching this segment on television about Drew STRUZAN, who I knew did movie posters. Didn't know all the posters that he did, but I did know the later ones. And then I find out that he designed numerous jackets for these great artists. Here's a great one. Welcome to My Nightmare. And it's appropriate, right, E? Because we're almost at Halloween, so I saved this for last. But really cool stuff. There's the inner. Don't know if he drew the little spider, but I'm sure he did. And on the back, yeah, he probably did, because on the back it's illustrated. Welcome to My Nightmare, one of the greatest rock albums of all time. Recently was reissued, I believe, via Analog Productions, one of their 75 Atlantic series. This is on Atlantic. So there you have it. Hope you enjoyed this little segment. Check out his artwork, Drew STRUZAN. And like I said, we really need to get this illustration movie poster back when the next James Bond film comes out. I really think that's key. I hope the people who are watching, from the people who own the James Bond franchise now, are watching, because we really need to, get that feeling, get that whole. You look at the movie poster and you want to go see the movie. It gives you glimpses of different scenes and the main protagonist and the co-stars in the film, besides telling you who's who and who directed, who produced, and what the music is. So thanks a lot. Keep rocking, and be safe this Halloween. Happy pre-Halloween. Talk to you later. Ciao.